All right, so in this review, I'm going to be checking out Squarespace, and I haven't looked at Squarespace in a while. And last time I looked at it, I wasn't really all that impressed, and it wasn't a website builder that I would have recommended. Now, Squarespace has made some pretty significant changes to how their website building platform works, and I think it actually might be a decent option for some people. So let's take a look at Squarespace and see if it's going to be right for you and what your website building needs are. I'm Tim from RealWebsiteHints.com, and it's my mission to help you find the best and easiest ways of building great-looking websites. If you're interested in getting any of the products that I talk about in this video, I'll be including links to the various different products down below. Those links help to support this channel and the free tutorials and reviews that I make. So I thank you guys for your support, and I thank you for supporting this channel. Also, if you want to see what my top recommended website builders are, definitely be sure to check out the link at the top of this video, and I'll also link to that video down in the description below. Okay, so let's dive in and check out Squarespace. So signing up for Squarespace is really easy. They've got a free trial, so if you want to check it out and try it out for yourself, you can definitely do that. Check out the link down below. They've got a lot of different templates here for different kinds of websites. One of the major improvements that Squarespace has made is it used to be that the different templates that you chose had different functionality. So if you wanted certain functionality to your webpage, like you wanted a certain look at the top of your website, you'd have to pick a certain template. So now the templates are really just starting points, and there's no difference between how they work. They're basically just a place to start, to give you some inspiration and some ideas, and you can modify and change any part of any of the templates that you see here with any other part of any of the other different templates. So it makes it really easy to build, and you don't have to worry about which template you pick. You just pick the one that you think is going to work best for you, and then you can modify it and change it using any of the tools that Squarespace offers. So this is a huge improvement for me. It takes away a lot of the confusion that you might have trying to decide which template to use. Now all of the templates are basically the same. They're just a starting point to help you build your website. So now let's check out a couple of the different websites that I've built. Here is a website that I've been building using my photography, kind of as a photographer's business website, sort of showing off what they do. I built some case study pages, and I found Squarespace much more enjoyable to use building these pages. The flow and the way that the builder works just works a lot better, and I'll be showing you exactly how the builder works in a little bit here. Squarespace also offers several different portfolio layout styles, and I really like that. And I think that Squarespace could be a really good option if you're interested in building a portfolio website, just because of all the different options that they have. Sort of the styling of the typical Squarespace website is very simple, and I think that works really well for showing off photography. I built this case studies page here, sort of talking about this one photo shoot that I did, and I think it worked out pretty well. I was able to use the different blocks that Squarespace offers as starting points and sort of add in my content. One of the things that I kind of wish, though, was that I had a little bit more control over the size of these images. I would have liked to have them be a little bit smaller and kind of squished up a little bit more. I also built this restaurant website here, which I think I was able to get a pretty nice look out of. Squarespace also offers a few different menu page layouts, which are nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at how you build and design pages with Squarespace. So to get started building your website with Squarespace, we've got all of these controls over here. Underneath the pages controls, we can add a new page to our website, and we've got some different options, including a blog page. You can add a store, portfolio, events. You can add a folder, which is if you want to have a drop down on your menu, you'd use a folder. Or if you wanted to have an external link, you can add that. So adding a blank page is really easy. You just click add page, create a new page. You can give it a name. I'm just going to go with new page, which it already was. And one of the things that I do like about Squarespace is that they do offer a lot of functionality as far as search engine optimization. And so under the settings for each page, you'll be able to change your page title with a navigation, how the navigation name is going to appear here, the URL slug. You can add and modify sort of the search engine meta tag, so the title of your page that's going to show up on search engines, and as well as the description is going to show up on search engines. So I think that Squarespace is doing a really good job there. Another feature that I like is the social image option here, which if you want to share a page on social media, you can adjust which image is going to show up on social media. So on Facebook, when you share a page, it's going to adjust what image shows up on Facebook, for example. And they do this also for their blog posts, although I found that editing and managing blog posts was a little bit confusing, but it is nice to have that blog functionality. The other thing that I really like to see in website builders is the ability to sort of do global controls of your text and colors. And Squarespace does offer that. So we've got our font options here. So we can have global settings for all of the fonts across our entire website. And then we can also manually adjust them. So I think that's fantastic. That's something that I like to see. It just keeps your website looking consistent. Unfortunately, with Squarespace though, if you want to change what font or the font color on a specific item, unfortunately you can't do that with Squarespace. I think you probably can if you want to dive into the code, but I think most people who are looking to easily build a website aren't really interested in learning CSS and diving into the code. We can also pick and choose our colors here, and you can manually adjust your color palettes by clicking the little edit icon here and then choosing which colors you want. And so here we get a lot of control over the various different colors that we want to have on our website. So I think that that's fantastic. One thing that's a little bit weird though about adjusting colors with Squarespace is that when you want to, change a color, for example, and you choose custom, normally you would get the hexadecimal code for colors, which is typically what you use on websites. Here we're getting the HSL. So if you've made a color palette using online tools like the ones that I recommend for setting up a color palette, you might need to convert that from hexadecimal to HSL. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at editing pages with Squarespace. So to edit pages, you just navigate to the page you want to edit, click edit, and then to add content, you just simply push this plus icon. And now this is something that I really like. I think it's fantastic when website builders have this, where they have different blocks that you can choose from as starting points for setting up your website. So if you wanted to have, say 3 columns of text like this, for example, you can have that. If you want to add additional content above or below, you just look for these little bubbles here. With Squarespace, you want to look for the bubble and then you want to pick the one that has the line that goes across the section that you want to add, just like this. So if we wanted to add an image here, we could do that. I'm just going to select one of their images here. Now, one of the things that I found difficult with Squarespace was creating more than 3 columns. As you can see here, I kind of wound up with this mess here. So let me see if I can readjust it here. Yeah, it's just, there we go. All website builders that I've tried that have sort of this drag and drop style editor where you can move items around directly, they're all fidgety to some extent. But I found that when you try to get to more than 3 columns with the Squarespace builder, it's even more fidgety than a lot of the other ones. But you can still do it, it's just a matter of sort of being persistent with it. And as part of this review too, I also set up a domain name with Hover. I want to see how you can use Hover to register a domain, and then how easy it would be to set up that domain and link it to a website builder like Squarespace. I have to say, I found that to be incredibly easy. Basically, it's just a couple of steps. I set up my domain name on Hover. I went over to Squarespace. I said connect my domain. It already knew that it was set up with Hover, and then all I had to do was just link the two together. Really simple. And I have to say that one of the most important things for you to do when you're building a website, whether you're building it yourself or especially if you're having somebody else build it for you, it is really important that you own your domain and that you have control over it. Now, you can definitely register it directly with Squarespace. There's nothing wrong with that. It actually will make your life easier. But I think having it registered with a separate company can make it easier for you to switch your domain to a different website builder later on if you want to do that. So as part of my test, I also checked out the customer support of Squarespace. And in my test, I contacted them a couple times and I found their support to be extremely responsive and extremely helpful. I was able to get to an agent in a couple of minutes. I think customer support is especially important for easy to use website builders because your website building might not be your main function. It might be just something you need to do to get your website up for your business, and being able to easily access tech support can really help you get your website built faster. So I really like that about Squarespace. Squarespace does offer some blogging functionality. There's various different layouts that you can display your blog posts in. And I would say that their blogging functionality is pretty good. You do have control over adding a little bit of content down below the main header area of the blog. So if you wanted to link it to your different categories. However, it doesn't seem that you have control over the design of your category pages. I'm not too sure if it actually has a full category page. I think it's more of like a filter, just filtering certain category items and just displaying them on the one page. Also, the sort of layout that you have with your blog post is pretty limited. Basically, you can just have a wide layout or a narrow layout, But if you want to have like a sidebar with links to your best content or with ads or something like that, you're not going to be able to do that with Squarespace. Perhaps you can do it if you have somebody add some custom code to your website. I wouldn't look to Squarespace as a website builder to use if blogging is the main functionality that you want to have for your website. The blog on Squarespace, I think, is good for businesses who might do some occasional blogging to help with their search engine optimization, but it's not something we're going to be able to have, really in-depth categories or really control what the look is of your blog pages. Squarespace also features a responsive design. So this means sort of as the size of the window or the size of the device gets smaller, it's going to automatically resize itself to that window size. And that's definitely good. It makes it really easy to set up a website that's, works well on desktop and works on mobile, but it doesn't really allow you to have sort of that mobile first design that Google is looking for. Basically, your mobile layout is sort of pre-designed and pre-configured based on how Squarespace has set it up. And I think that moving forward, what we're going to find is that it's going to be really important to style and design your website specifically for mobile. So it'd be nice to be able to have some options to tweak the designs of my pages for mobile, which you can't currently do with Squarespace, but you can do with some other website builders that I've tried out. So I think that overall, Squarespace is an okay website builder. It's something that once I wouldn't recommend at all, and now I think that there's definitely some use cases where Squarespace might be a good option. I really like that Squarespace has sort of that global control over your fonts and colors and the button styling. I think it's really important for making sure that your website has that consistent look across your entire website. Building pages is fairly easy, but I do think that there's some other website builders that make it a bit easier to build your pages. I think it's great that Squarespace is a responsive style website builder. Definitely helps to make sure that your website is usable on desktop or on mobile phones or whatever. I do think it would be nice to be able to customize the look of your website for mobile phones specifically, just to make sure that people on mobile phones are getting the best experience possible. So Squarespace is definitely a solid choice for building a website, but if you want to find out what my top recommendations are, definitely check out the link down below to my top recommended website builders. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you've had some experience with Squarespace or any other website builder, definitely tell me about that down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.